Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are talking about long polling versus WebSockets, two different ways to keep your application updated in real time. Let's see how each work and when to pick one over the other. Okay, so let's start with long polling. Long polling is an approach where the client repeatedly sends HTTP requests to the server, waiting for new data. If the server has updates, it responds immediately. Otherwise, it holds the connection until something is available. Once the response arrives, the client responds the connection and waits. Okay, let's just see an example for that. Okay, let's say that we have our client here and our server is here. Okay, so the client will send requests to the server. Basically, do we have anything? Do we have anything new? And it will wait. It will not. The server will not respond immediately. It wait like for 1 second, 2 seconds, something like that. In this time period, if the server has anything, it will send it back. It will send back a response. It will send back a response anyway to the client to say, yes, we have a new thing. Take this. Maybe we have nothing. So yeah, we send an empty response. It's basically, let's assume that we have a chat application. So the client will send a request like every 2-3 seconds to the server to ask, do we have a new thing or not? And the client will do this repeatedly, and the server will respond repeatedly. The pros of this approach, it's simple to implement. Just extend the HTTP requests. That's it. Works well in environments lacking WebSocket supports. The cons of this one: first, increased latency and overhead as a client frequently reconnects or polls. Number two, higher server load, because even if no data is available, the client will send a request anyway. So we have like maybe we overuse our resources. Long polling can be enough for some applications, but it can be inefficient if you need very frequent updates or large user base. Okay, next we need to talk about what? Maybe I didn't. Yeah, WebSockets. I guess I made this the one in the middle by mistake. So WebSockets establish a persistent full duplex connection. It's basically bi-directional communication, meaning the client and the server can send messages to each other anytime once the connection is established. So whenever the client sends a request to the server, it's a bi-directional. So we have a client and a server. Basically, the server doesn't need the client to send a request, so the server sends a response. Basically, it's not a response, a request type of communication. It's bi-directional communication. So that means, that means the server can send the request like whenever it has a new data, like no need for the client to ask for a new thing, because once a WebSocket connection is established, it's some sort of a channel that goes bi-directional. So the good thing about this one, it's great in real-time exchange because no overhead of repeated HTTP requests anymore. It's bi-directional, as I said, so both sides can push data instantly to each other. Number three, reduced latency, ideal for chat application, live data stream, and interactive features. Compared to traditional HTTP, WebSocket use a single handshake to create a persistent channel that then both client and server can exchange data freely. Okay, let's make a small comparison. Okay, I guess there is I missed a lot of pages that I put nothing in them. So if I want to make a small comparison, comparing or comparison, let's start with the connection nature. So long polling, it's basically using a hanging HTTP requests or periodic HTTP requests. On the other hand, WebSockets use a persistent bi-directional WebSocket once the head check is done. The second thing, okay, let's go to the back because it has a space to type in it. The second thing that we will make we comparing is the server load. Server How to type server? Yeah, server. The server load. So long polling basically repeated connections and can add more overhead. WebSockets typically more efficient to scale once the connection is established. Next, we want to talk about latency. So in terms of latency, long polling potentially for delayed response if a poll finishes and new data arrives after. WebSocket has like near instant data delivery in both directions. In terms of the complexity as well, long polling is way more simpler to on top of standard HTTP, but can be hacky or resource heavy. WebSockets, it's a bit more complex to set up, but a robust solution for real-time interactions. Okay, I guess the next thing that we need to talk about is when to use each. And let's start with long polling. So if you use long polling, if you only need occasional updates or parallel or partial real-time features, okay, not actual real-time. Second, you are limited by environment constraints like older browser or specific network setup that blocks WebSockets. Number three, you need a quick setup, but be mindful of scaling issues. Okay, when to use WebSocket? Number one, if you need a truly interactive, low latency experience like chat apps or real time dashboards or even collaborative tools. Number two, you want a two-way data flow without constant HTTP overhead. Number three, prepare for a bit more complex initially, but you are prepared for a bit more complex, but enjoy more efficient connection in the long term. Okay, so I guess we need to go to our conclusion. So that's a long polling versus WebSockets in a nutshell. If your application can handle periodic polling and you want a simpler approach, go with long polling. But if you need high interactive, true real-time communication, WebSockets might be your base bet. Thanks for watching this video. If this video was helpful, be sure to like and subscribe and leave comment in the comment section below about your experience with real-time data. Until next time, keep your apps snappy.